Some people go through high school and college and know exactly what it is that they're going to be doing when they get out of school and how they're going to have a career and just exactly what it's going to be in. I was never really that way. I knew that I would be doing some type of secretarial work or office work, but the field that it would be in was kind of up for grabs. And then throughout my lifetime, I've done a lot of things besides office work. I've had a lot of different jobs, just depending upon which way the wind blew in my life, what I'd be doing. I started out working in an office, and I went to another office in a different field. And, oh gosh, I kind of lost track. I went into um, retail for a while, and then I modeled for a while, and I went into real estate and property management for a while. I was a welcome wagon hostess for a while. I worked in a lot of different offices then throughout my lifetime, doing a lot of different kinds of things. And I did research, and I did a lot of supervision in offices and that sort of thing. But probably, well, I even worked in a factory for a little bit. But the one job that really sticks out in my mind, that it was just an absolutely horrible job, and I thought it was going to be great when I took the doggone thing. It was working in a metal fabrication office, one girl office. So I thought, man, this is going to be the berries. I don't have a bunch of other women that I have to try to deal with, their mood swings and the office gossip and all that kind of stuff. I'm the only gal in here. I will have it made if I can land this job. That's what I thought. And it seemed like a good idea at the time. And I took on the job, and I found out that the feller that I was working for there in that office was the meanest man that has ever walked the face of the earth. If they gave out trophies for being hateful, he would have got the biggest trophy there was. It'd probably erect a statue in his honor for meanness. Man, oh man, he was hateful. You come in the office of a morning, and he wouldn't even say hello to you. Uh, he just kind of grunt as he walked through the office, in your general direction, like he hated you. And they would track in metal shavings from the shop floor into the carpet, and they couldn't keep a vacuum cleaner going in there because the metal shavings would heat it up. I ended up taking my vacuum cleaner in there because boss was too grumpy and wouldn't buy a new vacuum cleaner, and you couldn't have all them metal shavings in the doggone floor. And people walking in there, in the front office. So I took my vacuum cleaner in there so I could vacuum the floor. And the metal shavings in the carpet had ate up this old roller office chair that I was sitting in before I even got in there, and it wouldn't roll anymore. And I told him, I said, look, we need a new office chair out here. This is disgraceful to have such a thing sitting in here in the front office. And he said that he wasn't buying no new chair and that I just have to deal with it. Well, I had a nice office chair at home, and since I was keeping the shavings up out of the floor, I knew it wouldn't get tore up in there. Probably ruin my vacuum cleaner, but at least, my chair would be saved. So I took my own office chair into the office. And then he decided they was going to move the office to another town. So I packed up everything in the office, got everything wrapped up good, so that I could keep track of it and be able to get all the files back in the file cabinet where they went after everything was moved. Got everything boxed up and marked and all that. Organized it all so that the equipment in the shop could be moved, and they moved everything over to the other shop. And we get in the other shop, and it's got a little bitty tiny front office there for me to work in, but that's okay. I didn't need a whole lot of room, just enough for the file cabinets and my office equipment and stuff. But the problem Well, there was a couple problems with it. The first problem was that there was a men and a women's restroom. That's not the problem. The problem was that the door to the women's restroom didn't close. It was broke. And I'll be dogged if I was going to go back in the shop there where the restroom was to try to use the restroom and the doggone door wide open on the thing. So I would have to take off on my break and run uptown to a restaurant or gas station or someplace if I needed to use the restroom. Couldn't even use the restroom in there. And then the next problem was that there was no heat in the front office where my office was. And the boss had brought in a space heater in his office, but when he would leave to go to lunch or go out on meetings or whatever it was he was going to, he'd lock up his office so that I couldn't get no heat out there in the front office. And it was wintertime. You know, temperature down 10, 20 degrees and no heat in there. And I wearing my coat and gloves and everything else in the front office to try to stay warm. Well, it come time, you know, rolling up for my uh, benefits to start kicking in, my insurance and stuff, my 90 days. And I thought, well, okay, you know, at least I'll start getting some insurance and stuff out of this. And I'll be dogged if on the 90th day that so-and-so didn't call me into his office. And he had, I mean, he just basically cussed me out and told me to just pack up my stuff and get out. Well, as it turned out, what he was doing is he's gonna give my job to his girlfriend so he could just pay her cash and wouldn't have to pay benefits or any taxes or anything on the money she made. And I'll tell you, at the time I was a little upset because nobody likes to lose a job, but I was grateful, on the other hand, that I was finally away from that guy. Man, oh man, he was a hateful, well, individual. Let's just put it that way. I wouldn't have a whole lot nice to say about him, but that's got to be the worst job ever. You're in an office and you can't have no heat, can't use the restroom. I went up to the unemployment office the next day and filed for unemployment. And it was a couple days later, I got a telephone call from the unemployment office, and they said, well, he's saying that you didn't do the work he told you to do, and this, that, and the other thing, you know, and so we're calling you to find out, you know, what your side of the story is. And I told him, I said, look, I did everything that man asked me to do, but he wouldn't even give me a decent office chair to sit in. I had to bring my own office chair in. I had to take my own vacuum cleaner in to clean the office because he was too cheap to buy a new vacuum cleaner and the old one was tore up. The door on the restroom wouldn't even close. I couldn't use the restroom in there, and there was no heat in the office. He about froze me to death. And I did everything that they asked me to do. I moved the office from one location to another, did all the organizing on that, and he's decided he wants to hire his girlfriend in there so he can pay her under the table. Now, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here to get my unemployment, but I'm going to fight it. And she says, honey, don't worry. You will get your unemployment. So I guess telling her all that was enough to put it over the edge to to get me my unemployment until I could find a new job. But man, oh man, he was one hateful individual. I hope nobody ends up in a job like that where the boss is just so hateful they're about to try to kill you. The work was good. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the work that I was doing. It was office work, and you know, no other women to have to deal with in that office, so I could just get my work done and go on about my business. But man, oh man, he was so hateful. It it really ruined the whole 9 yards of a job. I don't know how that woman that he had as a girlfriend could stand him, but more power to her is all I can say.